Hey Gearheads, and welcome to GT Garage Talk, a discussion about all things automotive. I am your host, Cory, and this week I am wishing it's the end of April already. Here we are, Easter weekend. Definitely enjoying the celebration that is Easter, taking the time with family for that. But you know, I work a little ahead of schedule, and as you're hearing this, it's Easter weekend, maybe as I'm recording it, not so much. And anyway, all that to say, I'm looking forward to the end of the month because my guest this evening is Bryan Raupe from Texas Truck Channel. He is also the Vice President of Events for Texas Auto Writers Association, of which I myself am a member. If you are in the automotive industry and at all interested, let me know. We do great things, and Bryan is just knee-deep in the work right now of ironing out the final details of our annual spring event, which is a track-focused car event in the DFW Metroplex. I'll let him share all the details, but oh my goodness, like, is it auto roundup time yet? Like, I want it to be auto roundup time. Like, please. But yeah, I'll quit drooling and let's bring on Bryan. Bryan, so good to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about and not so long a time to talk about it. You are knee deep, ankle deep, waist deep, I don't know, somewhere in there in planning a major event that we will get to later. But you and I, before I hit the glowing red button, we're having a conversation that's just too good to ignore. And that is the role of technology in our lives, in our vehicles, and in our equipment in what we do. I've been laughing over here. I've been super frustrated with the SD card that we are recording this very episode on. But you've had similar SD card problems, right? Like this is a universal thing.
Yeah, and recently too. Like it's not even like in the past, like in the last few weeks or days. Same thing.
Technology has just become so disposable that like the reliability is just shot out the window. And
well, yeah, disposable and also integrated. Right. It's so integrated that we almost can't function without it in a lot of our roles. You and me in particular. We can't not have SD cards.
So I've got one for podcasting. I've got one for my handheld camera, one for both of my GoPros, and then I've got just a few extra. Like I'm swimming in SD cards over here, and like I have literally written on them, even the micro ones with paint pens, so I know like which one's for what, so I don't cross contaminate. And it's crazy. And
gotta love it. We do the same thing. We've started numbering them because some have started checking themselves out of the functional inventory. So it makes me wonder if those cards have a shelf life or not.
Yeah, and then you had to start questioning, well, maybe it's the device I'm sticking them in. So like I've had this soundboard, let's see, 2-3 years now. I don't know. Time is relative. And I'm like, well, was it the board? Because it wasn't doing this before. Have I done something wrong? And then with the GoPros, like all of a sudden it'll start acting weird. I tell me if this has happened to you, because you know suction cups are what they are. I've dropped one once. What's your track record over there?
Oh, on GoPros?
Yeah.
Oh, we've dropped, I would say at least, let's call it 10 or 11 times that I can think of. I'm not counting in my head, but I'm guessing that number. One in particular was at the truck rodeo last year with the Wrangler SRT, the 392. Oof. And we had a good suction cup. It was a double suction cup on the GoPro mount on purpose. And with launch control, it ripped right off the fender and straight on the pavement and then the ditch. And it's, you know, it's had some moments where it needed to think about it, what we're trying to get it to do since then. That might be part of it, but we've lost plenty. Usually on launch. It seems like it's on launch every time.
Yeah, similar issue for me. The one and only time I've actually lost one, altered how I approach things since, but I was trying to get that all important exhaust shot during acceleration on perhaps one of, if not the best sounding V8s I think I've ever driven, and that was in the AMG GT63 that I drove.
Oh, man.
And gosh, I love that car more than I should have and more than I need to at its price point. But because
you do have a taste for fine things. The fine wine of cars is your cup of tea.
Right. I've got a very expensive taste when it comes to cars, and also a very like Coors Light. There's no in between for me.
Right, all or nothing.
Yeah, I want the best of the best, or just give me. Yeah, but because I put that on the plastic bumper back behind me where I couldn't see it, like. It was the first time a suction cup had ever failed me before. So I just assumed that driving the 15 minutes and doing my whole monologue and everything that I needed to say about this glorious car on a curvy East Texas back road, I just assumed it would be there when I stopped and walked back there. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have driven too far. And how, where, when, how, why? And luckily for me, it had fallen off before I had ever even gotten onto the main road. Like I was pulling out of basically
good. That's the best.
A glorified parking lot right off the lake. And it was sitting there off to the side in mostly pristine condition. It is now if I do anything external, it is my go-to GoPro because the lens is a little scuffed up and that's about it. But
so we've had the same scenario, where we have old Trusty that is mounted outside, and then we have the one with the media mod and the external mic mount and all that stuff for the interior shots, rolling shots. And we had one. I was thinking this when you were talking about it falling off when you're driving. We lost one in the snowstorm 2 years ago on the Colorado ZR2, and of course, being North Texas and snow.
Yes.
The roads are your own. There is no one else out there. And we are testing the full capabilities of the vehicle. And I happened to oversteer a lot. And in the process, we lost one and it fell in the snow.
Oh gosh.
And during Snowmageddon, not ice, this is actual snow. So what happened is we were doing lead follow. I wasn't actually drifting at the moment. It fell off and Craig was following me luckily and saw it and jumped on radio and said, hey, camera dropped. And so we knew, about 100-foot window of where it came off and where it would be. And it took us about 40 minutes to find it. And because it just fell under the snow. It was just gone. It completely vanished. And what had happened is it fell under, at an angle into the snow, and then the snow fell back on top of it. So we couldn't see where it went in. And, that was entertaining. And you know what the scariest part was? We had filmed several hours using that memory card. At that point, I didn't care about the camera. I wanted the footage back.
Yeah.
And, so that's the case. And we've also lost some GoPro, or at least one GoPro at events and left it in a vehicle or something like that. And the worst part is you may have multiple vehicles on one memory card. That's the problem. You want the card more than the camera.
Yeah, events are where it's really bad because you're trying to get as much as you can, as quickly as you can, hopping from one to another. And then you're like, okay, did I get this? Did I get that? Did I get that? And events are so difficult. And you and I, sneaky way to go into the real reason I asked you to join me tonight. You and I are trudging ever so closely to an event that you are very, very near and dear with at this point in time as the vice president of events for Texas Auto Writers Association. I just get to sit by as the secretary and take notes every time we have a meeting. But
oh, you do more than you think.
you are in it. You are on the phone with all the brands. You are, making sure that backs are scratched, I'm sure, and that I's are dotted and T's are crossed, because it is the connections that you and the team make that ensure a successful event and something that, one, it's worth all the journalists coming to. Two, it's one that all the brands and OEMs are willing to invest in. But the details that I'm starting to get, I am salivating for the end of April right now because it's sounding like a mighty good one indeed.
Yeah, we are pumped about this. And look, to your point, it's not just me; it's an army, yourself included. I know you're running meetings, but you're also helping me a lot on the side, and I can't thank you enough. And our treasurer and our president and our communications person, it's just constant. It's a whole army. And we are going to continue this at TMS, Texas Motor Speedway, this year. And a little cat out of the bag, we are considering other venues for next year. So stay tuned for that. If you're a journalist listening in, that's going to be awesome. But this year we do have the infield track like we usually do, and our road tours that are around the facility that you can take vehicles out and drive. And man, let me tell you, just today alone, we had a lot of cars dropped into the registration finalized.
Nice.
If you've ever worked an event, you know that there's a lot of discussion, a lot of verbal commitment, but until it actually hits the list, it's just a good feeling to have all locked in that we've been talking about for quite some time. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of cars up there, and we're going to have, as of now, the weather's going to be killer.
Yes.
And it's just going to be fun. We're going to have, I'll go through some of the cars we're going to have. We're going to have a lot of Toyota. We're going to have a lot of Lexus. For those that don't know, Toyota's based out of Plano now, which is in DFW. And this being a DFW event, they are showing up. Let me tell you, they are going to be there in full force.
Yeah.
And
if we make it, it'll be there probably. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things where that's a lot coming. Very excited about that. And I'll tell you now, that includes the GR86 twins, both automatic and manual. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yes.
Big thank you to Toyota for making that happen, because we have as you know, Cory, we have a lot of journalists with different backgrounds,
right,
and different preferences,
right.
And some of our journalists couldn't be bothered with the manual. That's not their cup of tea, but they still love a sporty, nice coupe. And then you've got the guys with the red mist in their eyes that just have to bang the rev limiter and find some wheel spin. And you and I are somewhere in that spectrum, and I can't wait for them both to be there.
Yeah,
but
and I've gotten a little bit of wheel time. I don't know if you've gotten any in the new updated with the more potent power plant, the 2022 GR and the Subaru BRZ equivalent. So good for what it is.
Man.
Like, punching in at 30K, which 5-10 years ago would have just been absurd for what you're getting, but now it's like it's the steal of the century.
Oh, yeah. Take my money. By the way, I've looked. I can't get one. I've tried. I cannot get one off a lot right now in the country that's manual. It just doesn't exist. It just does not exist.
I stumbled upon the one that I ended up testing for our channel. So I've got some dealer connections in the area. I was driving to shoot a commercial with some other connections I've got here in town, and was slated to have a fun day in a Subaru Forester Wilderness, but driving by the Toyota lot, I see a white GR86 in the lot, and I'm like, oh, this has potential on it. And so I go to their website and I'm checking it out, and it's not they've got two grades. One's premium, one,
right.
They don't call it base, but it's the base. And that's what this one was.
Yeah.
It was right at 30K, 6-speed manual, exactly how I would want it. And just such a blast. I think it ended up selling before we ever left the lot. Like, somebody showed up to test drive it as we're finishing up like our final thoughts in the dealer lot. Like getting cars right now is so hard.
Oh man, is it? And by the way, it's not getting better in the near future. It just isn't.
Well,
we keep getting cars that are.
You say that, and my local Kia dealer, Josh, God bless you. You're running around with your hair on fire or something. They got 2 trucks in today, and I guarantee you every single one of those vehicles is going to be gone before Easter. Like it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ridiculous what he's doing there, but he is getting them in. I don't know what Kia is doing. I don't know if it's just Josh and our local Pelche Kia here in Tyler. Shout out, but he is doing a bang up job. Like he's had several 2020 or. Are they 22s or 23s at this point? The new Sportage.
22s, yeah.
And like he's getting plenty. They're just all flying off the lot. So like,
good for him, man.
There are some dealers that are just cranking them out like that, and you know the way dealerships are being run right now, it's all on allocation. If you sell it, you'll get more.
Right.
And it's kind of a double-edged sword because you can't sell it if you don't have it, but my goodness.
Well, I mean, you also have this is a whole other can of worms, but you also have the spectrum of dealers going, well, I can sell it and I can sell it for over MSRP.
Right.
And a lot of those guys are walking that balance of, okay, do we keep our volume up or do we accept that we maybe didn't sell enough initially to have good allocation? So we are now going to just mark up whatever we have. It's interesting. It really is, because you can find some dealers that go, no, we're not going to mess with that. And by the way, we also don't have any cars.
Right.
Then you have some that go, we've got the car, but it's 10 over or whatever. But it's an interesting time for sure.
Yeah, I think playing devil's advocate somewhat here for the dealers who are not being painted in a very good light right now by Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it.
Oh, of course.
Everybody's lambasting them for just crazy markups, but they are still trying to run a business. And if you're selling a quarter of what you were selling before,
right,
turns,
you got to make it somewhere.
Yeah, turns are a big part of the business, and if you can't turn them, you got to make up for the fact that the sales volume has got to be there, because the bills still got to get paid. And
sure.
There are dealers that are taking advantage of the situation. Absolutely. I won't name the dealer. I am currently in an amazing car. Saw one used on a local dealer lot and went to the website, checked it out, spec'd about the same, 12 grand markup with 2,000 miles on it. And I'm not, it's a good car, but nothing is worth a 12 grand markup.
Over.
Nothing. No, just,
right.
That's
it is very, very interesting. Yeah, there's a line for everyone, including us. And look, you and I are lucky enough to have access to a lot of stuff. But look, I still have my old truck that I would normally have sold a year ago or 2 years ago based on my normal rotation because of this. Because the margins just aren't what they used to be. And I know I need to recalibrate that it may never be what it was before. But it's still hard to swallow that pill. That's a real thing.
Yeah, we are. It is such a weird time. I know I've talked to several friends that have caught on to what I'm doing, because I've only earnestly been doing this for as far as the YouTube side of things, a year.
Right.
This April marks a year anniversary since the first anybody took a chance on me, and lo and behold, it was our local Kia dealership that gave me my first car. So shout out yet again. But
I remember that. That was a big day. And it's y'all had a beautiful relationship ever since.
It was a terrible review. I go back and I watch it and I cringe.
Never do that. Don't look at your first work. Don't ever do that.
It's 30 minutes. It's so long. It is so slow, but I loved the car so much. My wife still talks about it to this day. It made an impression,
right?
Right. It made an impression on us for sure. It is a good car. The Kia brand, the Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, all of them. I cannot applaud a manufacturer group, a company more than what that team is doing. Just the total transformation that brand has had in my lifetime. My dad had a 1997 Kia Sophia that...
Oh, man, I remember those.
Yeah, it planted in my brain what Kia was, and it was cheap, okay-ish car, and nothing...
At the time.
Yeah, my dad swore off the Kia brand because he was having bad local representation with the dealer. Obviously,
Sure.
not the same dealer that runs it now. And
Right.
like he took it on a work trip to Colorado, had to travel like from Vail to Denver or something to get it serviced. Like the brand has come so far since then, to the fact that Kia is a legit threat to anyone in the market. And then, oh yeah, they can hit you upscale with Hyundai and now Genesis. It's ridiculous what that brand is doing.
Well, and Genesis is also, well, I think you're in a Genesis right now, aren't you? The GV70?
I am, and I am smitten. Like
killer. Killer.
I have not been so giddy to get the keys and just go for a drive in almost 20 years. Like I literally feel like I'm 16 years old again. Like, oh, you want me to go a coffee run? Or, oh, this needs to be done? I'll go right now.
Excuses.
Yeah, like, and there's no like one tangible thing about this car. It's just everything put
package
together. I struggle with words, and I haven't recorded my entire review of it yet. But like I'm still piecing it all together, and I just today, as we sit down to record this, got my wife in it because of our crazy schedules, and I think she likes it. She drove it a little bit this evening. I'm looking forward to, we've got plans out at her folks for Easter and my folks for Easter. So we're going to get a lot of wheel time in one of my favorite press rigs. And I'm very anxious to see her thoughts. She keeps her opinions quiet and to herself until the camera's rolling. So very, very anxious to see what she has to say about this one.
That's a good way to do that. And look, this is the first Hyundai Genesis Kia product that I've driven, at least, that I go, oh, that's where that BMW and Audi engineer has been hiding the whole time. They've been working on this.
Right.
And as some may know, Hyundai and Kia and now Genesis have been they've been headhunting top talent from other brands, including Bentley, including Audi and BMW. Bierman in particular from BMW, and the steering ratio and feedback from that rack, that's the BMW we've been missing for a long time.
Yep.
And it's good, and it's a crossover. And you get it and you kind of go, oh, well, is this just a taller Golf R? Or is this a crossover? Because it is so low. And it just, there's a lot of brilliance going on. It looks like a Bentley on the nose. The only thing that kind of reminds you it's Korean roots is maybe the door panel.
Right.
And then maybe the infotainment language that it uses, because you can tell there's some, which is not bad, by the way. I love the Kia. I mean, infotainment just works every time, and for us at least. And great experience, quiet on the highway. And with the 2.5 four-cylinder, the thing boogies. We recorded 6.1 to 60 in our testing when we had it.
Wow.
And that's on the street. That's not a prep surface. That's really, really good.
Yeah, a legit real-world acceleration test. Yeah. The word was thrown around between me and my camera guy, shooting brake. Like,
for sure.
That's a term car guys know. I'm sure gearheads listening to this know what a shooting brake is. For those who don't, it's a crossover in it of itself between a wagon and a fastback. Like, just the proportions of it are right. The lines, the details. When y'all had it,
the comfort is spot on.
Right. When y'all had it, I remember seeing pictures when it was in your hands and thinking to myself, I was nitpicking it because I hadn't gotten to drive it yet. And the hood was a little weird to me because the front of it overlaps the front bumper. And I'm like, it's broken.
Oh, yeah.
And then you addressed that specifically. And I was like, okay. And then now I get it. And again, the conversations with my cameraman, it almost feels like a very classy, like compact or something. Like you just, it opens. Why hide the fact that it opens? And it's good. And then the crease going down the side that starts flush with the fender and then ends up over top of the fender as you get back to the windshield. Just
that's hard to do.
Oh,
Yeah, they've nailed it. But like, there's no, they do that, and there's no panel gap glaring problem. You think about it on paper from a manufacturing standpoint, and you go, well, that's just going to be problematic. We're going to have a lot of panel gap. It works.
Yep.
In person, it works, and it's a thing to behold. I really liked it a lot, and I don't know about you, and if you compare that to a Q5, like an Audi Q5, it's shocking how close they are, but how much more engaging to drive the Genesis is. And I'm an Audi fan.
Right.
I've owned Audis. We currently own an Audi. Great product. Not ragging on it. Not the same thing.
Right.
One wants to drive and one wants to isolate. And they're two different things. And they're both really close. But it's much more entertaining in the Genesis on a twisty road, which the Q5 just doesn't do that. It does the nice, quiet thing.
And I think it just goes back to the hunger of the Hyundai brand, like the umbrella brands, because, they are in the process of reinventing themselves. They are hungry. They are willing to take that chance. The fact that their design team, like, kudos to the design team. They're taking risks and chances, and it's paying off. Like, I've seen Mercedes ripping off Kia designs, like the Telluride. There are aspects of the Telluride that Mercedes is ripping off now in European models, like not vehicles we get over here in the States, but like legit stealing of design elements. And it's crazy that this is happening, but my wife had a Mini Cooper when we got married, and she got it in this teal turquoisey kind of color with the white roof because it stood out, and there weren't many of them out on the road, and that's what she wants in a vehicle. And she kind of jokes with me, we got her a Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk, and there are like 3 others in town, including 2 in the drop-off line when we were taking Tucker to daycare and stuff like that. So like, she constantly reminds me that her unique Mini Cooper was sold to our niece in favor of something that is everywhere on the road. And I'm coming at her on this Genesis with the angle that right now they're not everywhere. And
that's a true thing.
Look how pretty. So,
what's tragic is that particular press car you're in is white, which means on thumbnails it doesn't stand out very well,
right.
And to our wives it's just a white car, and it downplays how brilliant it is. It's tragic that we got a white one, but I digress. Great product. I can't wait to see what they do in the future and what they're already doing. I'm glad they're here.
So you and your brother have a running gag about how much time you spend on building price.
Yes, we do.
I am all over the Genesis B&P since receiving this car.
Yeah, look, let's nerd out real quick. I've already figured out the one to get.
Yeah.
Because Craig and I have had this conversation. For those that know, Craig's my brother and co-host of our show.
Right. Shoot.
The one to get, the one to get for me is definitely the base one. Just get the stripped one.
Yeah.
Because you already get so much in the base trim, and then to go to the V6, I think it's like $13,000 more. I mean, it's a pretty big chunk to get to the V6.
Yep.
And it's not like the 4-banger is slow at all, and it's not as if the V6 is that much faster. Now, the downside of the 4-banger is it's not the best sounding engine. The valve train sounds like it's made out of like push pins or something. It's got some racket going on.
Genesis figured that out, so they just pump that augmented sound in through the speakers. And you never
exactly. Know. I was going there. And you know what? It's one of the first augmented sounds that I go, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Me too.
It's not. I usually hate those, but I go, no, that works. Leave it on.
And I turned it up to its max setting, so I'm just like, you know what? If it's there, I'm gonna ride with it. Yeah, I'm torn. I really want to sample that 3-liter, but I've really come to like this little 2.5 4-banger. It's
not bad.
It's spunky. It's
fun.
Really
works.
311 pound-feet of torque is nothing to sneeze at.
No.
You and I both drove the Mazda CX-9 with the 227, 310 pound-feet of torque, which just felt, for that big size, a little but in some this four banger in this Genesis, lightweight, smaller, it works. It works very well. And
look, I don't want to hijack this podcast on a 6.9 rant, which Craig and I have never fought more about any vehicle on the planet. But you just kind of stumbled into it, and I'll touch it and leave. But the 2.5 that Mazda produces, and knowing Mazda's history of making brilliant things to drive at any price point, diverges with Kia Hyundai's attempt at a 2.5 liter, and they are not the same thing.
No, they aren't.
The Mazda has a goblet torque down low. It does the diesel impersonation.
It does.
And let's be clear, that was their goal. They wanted a big torque band down low that wafted you around, and it does that. It works. But it will not rev, whereas Kia has picked a turbo size, I believe it's variable vane, which helps it kind of work everywhere, that never feels lacking down low, but does rev out. And they've made that work better. Now, Craig's counterpoint is always that, well, Kia's backed by an entire country, and they've got deeper pockets to do that research, and Mazda's almost a boutique builder. They're not high-volume builders. So I'll give them a break there. And the 6.9 is a really nice thing to ride in, but just motor to motor, that's the thing I pick it apart on. Kia has nailed it because that motor's been in a lot of cars now, and it works in all of them. So
yeah,
credit there.
This could very easly turn into the GV70 Gush session because I have so many more thoughts on it. But we have driven several different, very similar vehicles since you and I have last met, like in person. Like we've both had the Toyota Highlander, we've both had that CX-9.
The Maverick. I've got the Maverick right now, which you had a long time ago.
Yes, it feels like forever ago, but really liked that Maverick. I just today was in a Camaro SS 1LE, which I know you and Craig had for a little time. Obviously not the same one. Mine was cammed out and sounded so good. But I know that y'all really liked it. I think y'all said smiles per hour or something in y'all's review of it. And not all superheroes wear capes. I can't remember exactly y'all's take on it.
Yeah.
But
that all sounds about right.
For a couple of guys that are really into all things blue oval, it warmed my heart as a Camaro enthusiast to hear y'all's thoughts on that Camaro SS 1LE.
Man, that is absolutely a hero car. In fact, we had that, and we had the Mach 1 from Ford in automatic trim,
right.
Almost back to back, within a couple weeks of each other. And I know that the Mach 1 manual is something to behold, especially for a blue oval guy. I love the Coyote power plant, and I'll stand by this, cam or not. The Coyote is more entertaining in the way that it delivers the power. It's a peaky motor, although it does trade off that torque at idle. The LS torque band is a tabletop. It makes it at idle and it never falls off. But it's not as fun in a sports car kind of way. It's more fun in a muscle car kind of way,
right.
And personality. But the chassis tuning of the Alpha platform, which is that generation Camaro, the ATS, the black wings that are the Cadillac black wings that are coming out now, the CT4 and CT5V and all that stuff. It's brilliant.
Oh my god!
And it almost makes a Mustang GT, at least without the performance stack, makes it feel sloppy. The chassis in and of itself doesn't feel as rigid, whereas the Camaro feels like it's cut out of one piece of billet. I mean, it's properly underrated at how good it is. Really like that car a lot. Really, really good. In fact, that's a car I look up all the time on the used market. And unfortunately, they've jumped about $10,000 in the last 6 months, which is really frustrating for someone like me that wants to get into one.
Yeah, so the one I was in was highlighter yellow. The color name is Shock. And then,
Shocking, yeah.
Like I said, it was cammed out, so it had a Lopi idle. I'm 99% sure it had a different exhaust because the 1LE always got a dual mode exhaust from the factory anyway, but this one just was even louder, had intake on it. So whoever had it had done some work on it, and 24,000 miles on the clock. So, it had been around, but when I gave the keys back, my synopsis of it was I would have at least one speeding ticket within 24 hours of owning it because
oh, no question. In that color, you can sit in the parking lot and get a ticket.
So they hear you coming before you ever get there. So they're sitting waiting for you to do something stupid. Then because the car is what it is, you just naturally are
You're going to do something stupid.
doing something stupid. And then you stand out because it glows, and then they can just follow the sound. Even if you got away from them, they will hear you for 2 more miles as
you ditch absolutely.
Them. So as much as I loved that specific car, it also frustrated me because as soon as I sat down in it, and this is coming from someone who owned a 2012, which was the previous generation, which was a larger car. Mm-hmm. As soon as I sat down in it, I said, this is why the Camaro is dying a slow and quiet death. Because you get in it and the term coffin has been overused for
it's
the
a
interior
mail
of
you're
that
looking at those.
Yeah, it's just it frustrated me so much because there's so much good about that car that
that is a trade-off. You're absolutely right about that. But my brother is about a foot shorter than I am, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not quite a foot shorter, but he's shorter than I am. And whenever he gets into a Camaro, even if it's the previous generation, like the one you had, he goes, "I'm not tall. Why can't I see out of this?" and that's what he says every time. And I got in and I went, "This is a sports car. It's compromised, but I'm somehow less reclined in the seat than I am in a current Mustang. The current Mustang seat needs to go about an inch lower for me to really be in the sweet spot." So I was really pleased with that, but I also expected it to have terrible vision. I think I gave it a break because it was so good in other areas. And also ours was gray, which was kind of the stealthiest you can get. Unlike the highlighter one. So totally. And granted, it fits our personalities, but I want to do 1 million miles an hour and no one hear me or see me.
Right.
And so a car like the one you drove today, and look, this comes from a guy that had a red noisy Mustang for a decade. There's a trade-off, man. There's a trade-off for doing that. And the tickets to go with it are real. But, all that being said, I would take either one. Even in highlighter, I would deal with it. The car is so brilliant to drive. It screams German in chassis tuning when you drive it. And that's high praise.
Yes.
High praise.
And there were 2 reasons why I have not edited the video yet, but I can only imagine that it's going to be a giggle fest more than anything. I struggled.
With the cam for sure.
Yeah, I struggled with that one because my first time accelerating, the tires that were on it were not the summer tires that came with the 1LE. They had been replaced at under 25,000 miles. They were Nitto something or others. I can't remember what they were, but they were essentially more of an all-season versus a summer performance. And they struggled with every gear shift, but it was so much fun. I did not have enough time or enough guts to truly give that car what it needed. We recently
I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, we recently had some storms here as well, so you don't know what's lurking around a corner that you may have driven 3 days ago. A tree could be down. You don't know. And again, it was so loud, audibly, visually, I don't have the budget to bail myself out for the speeding ticket I would have gotten.
Yeah.
That car is too good for civilian roads. It just is. And
in that color, whatever speed you're doing, add 15 to it.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to go down. Because if someone sees you driving at the speed limit and they hear it and see that, they go, "Slow down, man."
Yep.
Because they are visually offended. They're audibly offended. It just comes with the territory, unfortunately. So good call on that one, man. I got to say. But let's talk tires real quick. Okay. I want to transition this to Maverick, if you don't mind, because there's a parallel here. You're talking about grip being the problem. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with Craig today about this, and the Maverick has, at least ours, the same one you had, has a 2-liter turbo, front-wheel drive, so there's not all-wheel drive, and it just blows the front tires off whenever you ask it to, just willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. And it has Michelin Eco tires. And I'm here to tell you that the handling limits are quite low, and it's better because of it. Because you can just do 5 over the speed limit and take a turn and it starts squealing and you go, oh, I'm going fast and this is fun. You're not, but it is so entertaining in something like that. You don't see it coming.
It is the James May principle of...
This is. Yeah, exactly.
Cars are the most fun at the margin. And when you lower that margin and give the illusion that you've raised the bar, not lowered it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, in my decade of messing around with tuning that Mustang I had previously, I went back to a less sticky tire on purpose because I could have more fun and the limits were lower. I got more fun more of the time. And that's the theory behind the slow car fast versus the fast car slow, or even the Miata. Look, the reason why the Miata is so brilliant is because you have fun at all times. You're doing the speed limit, it's still fun because it's so fizzy.
Right.
And that's what the Maverick did too. And I wasn't expecting that. I really enjoyed that. And I know you've had your time with it. We haven't shot a review on it yet, but it's looking good for the Maverick. I got to say, even though, look, if you need to tow or go off road, don't look at this. But if you are the guy that says, I am sick of $60,000 trucks and I am sick of poor gas mileage, Ford has answered that for you. It has been solved.
Yeah, that truck is such like... I saw one of my connections on Facebook, another journalist wrote his article on it, and it was titled "The Ford Maverick, the Truck America Needed." And that's
a good take.
It really is, like, especially now. Like, I did a Texas to California fuel price road trip, and to see those prices creeping up the further west we went. To get back to Texas and be like, it's only $386. It's just reframing of how we look at things, knowing that just not that long ago, we were in the 2s, and if you were really lucky, in the high 1s. But it is the truck America needs right now. It's the truck most people who say they need a truck need. Like, when I had
nothing more, by the way.
Right. When I had it, I immediately took it to IKEA. That was the first trip that I took in it. And I put like the smallest flat packed box in the back of what is my file cabinet back behind me as I sit here in my office.
Aren't you glad you had a truck for that task?
Exactly. And then what was the other thing? I did actually need a truck for the next thing. I went and got a workbench from my grandparents' house, and didn't want to take it apart to put it in an SUV and fit in the back of that perfectly. It was as tall as the cab and as wide as the mirrors. So
as the bed floor,
it just fit right in there. It was perfect.
But that's no accident. And by the way, because it was low and it wasn't some jacked up off-road truck with a low payload rating, you were able to load it in easily, and you had 1,400 pounds of payload, which is more than my first-gen Raptor. That's awesome. That's a big deal.
Yeah, just the sweet spot of white space of what people think they need, what they want, what they actually need, and as a bow tie guy, I got to give the Blue Oval engineers credit on that one. The sales are proving it out. The fact that they had to say, okay, hold up. Like, we've sold out, basically. Yeah. And
not only even on the Bronco, they haven't said we've sold out. They've said, give us a minute. On the Maverick, they've said flat out, we're done for the year. Quit taking orders, So that tells you a lot right there. And this thing came out before the current micro fuel prices we're having right now. And as CAFE standards keep climbing, which they have just recently, this is going to come into play for Ford. They've got to average a number across the brand, and this is going to help that truck buyer. And they're going to get the supply chain figured out. They're going to volume the heck out of these, and they're going to sell every one they make. So hats off to them. I'm glad it's happened, whether it's Ford or anybody else. Hyundai's got their Santa Cruz as well, which I haven't done a full review on yet. I've spent some time in it, but they seem like different targets. And I don't know that Hyundai's goal is the same, and I think that's okay. They're just not going to have the volume that the Maverick will. It's just personal opinion.
Yeah, so my wife and I just tonight saw not one, but two Santa Cruzes here in town, both the same color. I knew they were different because the second one had a roof and a bed rack on it and Mandalorian stickers. Very clearly a different vehicle than the stock first one we saw. Both same color, same trim and all that. And because we don't have one as a press vehicle, she flat out told me her thoughts and impressions of it. She's not very fond of it. Whereas we had that Maverick for a week. She gets it. She sees the appeal of it, though the styling may have been a little off for her. It didn't quite work.
He's not wrong with that. I can see where she's coming with the styling part. Because even I go, well, it's not a thing of beauty.
Right.
Like the moment it showed up, I said, oh, that is a pretty color and it is clean and shiny and it's not beautiful.
Yeah. But
it's also not Igor, it's okay. Yeah. And it has a job to do and it's doing it. I think a lot of people respect that and get that.
When did the Swiss Army knife need to be beautiful? It needed to be functional. And
right.
We've kind of gotten away from that in our luxury trucks, like the Ram Laramie Longhorn and the Limited and the
pick your brand. Platinum. They've all got some psycho brand. Yeah.
We've lost our way a little bit to the point where, again, going back to Joel's article, the truck America needed, just get all the fluff out of the way and give me
it's a no nonsense package.
Yeah,
give vehicle that works, and you get in and look. That one we have is a lariat trim, and this is the first press car I've had all year that I had to flip the rearview mirror for someone driving behind me at night with high beams on. We've had auto rear dimming mirrors in every car, all of them in the last year. And I kind of go, oh, well, that's what it is. It is a little bit cheap, but it's also cheap. That's the point.
Right.
So I think it's okay. I drove and I go, oh, there's not lane centering. There's lane departure warning. There's not radar cruise control. There's just regular cruise control. And I kind of look around and I go, yeah, that's all fine with me. This is perfectly acceptable. And I'm really giddy at, honestly, a lower trim level. I think the Lariat doesn't make the most sense in that thing. Just skip all that. Go cheap. Target cheap. Stay cheap. Keep it around 20. Mm-hmm. They're going to sell like a bazillion of those things. It's cool. I'm excited about it. And look, Ford being Ford, they've been doing trucks for a long time. Santa Cruz is not, and you can tell.
Right.
The Santa Cruz is, let's get some mountain bikes. Let's do the lifestyle things. The Maverick is, cool, you can do that. But if you have a landscape company, you can also put your mulch back here. They've got that part covered as well.
Yeah,
with the payload rating and all that stuff.
They are going to be all over the place with AutoZone stickers on the sides as fleet
that's a great point.
Vehicles.
Yes, they are.
It is the go-to AutoZone delivery truck.
The white XL Maverick will be flooding O'Reilly and AutoZones across the country as soon as they can get them.
Yeah, that's the key point. As soon as they could get them. So, oh my goodness. All right, one last final thought leading into Texas Truck Rodeo. Look at me, I'm already in October. Texas Auto Roundup for Texas Auto Riders. I don't want to get you in any trouble. I know you're just now starting to get confirmation on brands. Is there a specific genre, a vehicle you can spill? What are you most excited about coming up at the end of this month for the journalists that are members of Texas Auto Riders?
I really can't give away specifics, but I do want to call out one brand in particular that is showing up in a way they haven't previously, and that's going to be Mazda.
Okay.
They've participated in the past, but they've been kind of with a singular focus, and we've had a lot of good conversations with them, and they are bringing a more broad package this time. And I've already explained the Lexus Toyota brand. There's more than that, and the biggest tease I want to give away is that EV is going to be more present than ever at the Auto Roundup.
Well,
to the point that we have
in our lives right now.
Absolutely, but this is something we've been pushing for a while. In fact, members prior to you and I being on board as the EV category, we actually have a standalone EV category this year.
Nice.
So there will be an EV of Texas coming out of this. That's the big news. And it's going to be interesting. That's a first for us. And also logistically, I've had a lot of phone calls about how we charge these things. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Bryan, I thank you so much for the work that you're putting into this. I know you and I are in a totally different position covering this event for our own personal channels than we were even just a year ago, but I highly encourage everyone listening to the sound of our voices, go check them out, texastruckchannel.com, Texas Truck Channel on YouTube. Should get you all of the stuff, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That'll get you to it.
And don't let the name fool you. They do more than trucks. So they've morphed from the Brake Check Show. They still do the Brake Check Show within Texas Truck Channel. They still drive cars. They still have fun. But the crux of our market here in Texas, we do like our pickups around here, don't we?
Oh, we do. Let's be clear. We like our trucks too. Let's not say too much. But we are not giving up on sports cars. Don't worry. In fact, we just confirmed one later in about a month coming our way. So that'll be fun. And Cory, thanks for having me. Thanks for all that you do. And man, I can't wait to see you at the roundup. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, sir. Until then, like I said, Gearheads, I highly encourage you, go check out Bryan and his brother and the work that they're doing. Stay tuned on our YouTube channel, and we've got some fun stuff coming from the Spring Texas Auto Roundup from Texas Auto Writers. Bryan, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care.
Okay, so obviously I didn't want to put him in any hot water. He is still ironing out details. I didn't want him to give anything away that he didn't need to give away, but there is so much good that is going to come from this event. The actual event days are April 25th and 26th. A lot of channels like mine, like his, will be represented there. The membership of Texas Auto Writers perhaps goes further than you know. We've got Joe Rady of Rady's Rides. It's actually how I met him. I've got an interview with him. I should probably follow up with him. He's been traveling a lot here lately. But we've got the guys from Boulder, Colorado and TFL Studios. We've got Alex on Autos. Our membership is very wide reaching. And so I'm very excited. I really do think Texas Auto Writers put on world-class events. Following last year's event, we interviewed the then VP of Events, Tia Collier, who is now our president of Texas Auto Writers in general, who she has just been flying around and busy herself. So all that to say, I'm very anxiously awaiting April 25th and 26th. There's going to be so much fun. He may or may not have given me a few more details off the air. All this to say, yes, it's going to be a great event. I wish I could bring all of you with me, sit you down in the passenger seat. Shoot, we're living in a fictional world here. I'd even let you drive some of them around the track. It is truly a blessed opportunity that I get to have. It is because of you listening to my voice. It is because of you watching my YouTube videos. It is because of your interactions with my content that I even have the remotest possibility of getting to attend and cover events like this. Don't get me wrong. It's not all fun and games, because after we're out of cars and back in hotel rooms, it's work, screen time, editing and getting stuff out so that you can enjoy it in your homes and wherever you watch my videos, I guess. But I just wanted to end this on just a big thank you for supporting us with your ears, with your clicks, with your comments. Go find your favorite video on both my channel and his channel. Comment. That helps us out so much. TexasTruckChannel.com, GTGarageTalk.com. Until next time, bye.